Yeah,
I'm ready.
this is your this is your pay-per-view, so you're the expert. I'm gonna ask you a shit ton of questions,
I'm ready for it.
and because I have no idea like half of the stuff that was going on here, to be honest. So
Yeah, I remember this pay-per-view plain as day. I was little, but I remember watching this over and over on VHS. So
how little were you?
I was only 4.
Okay, but you
But
watched it a few times.
this was on Thanksgiving in Chicago though.
Right, yeah, I saw
So that's
I
why, yeah. That was a
yeah,
big thing in the house. Thanksgiving was Survivor Series Day.
yes, sir.
So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I'm ready. I'm pretty sure I'm ready. I took notes and everything. Just got to make sure I find all the right answers for you.
All
I'm ready
right.
though.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go over 1989 Survivor Series. Perfect time in because Survivor Series is coming up. It's Thanksgiving season, and I'm thankful that we get to do this. So let's get into it, y'all. We're gonna relive 1989 Survivor Series. Let's fucking go.
All of his stuff looked good, so probably too good because it was probably snug, but he was different in everything that he did. He locked up different. He locked up snug.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast with me, your host. My name is Edgar, and a special returning guest is here with us today. He's Chicago's finest, the very funny, the very entertaining. My buddy, my pal, Mr. Finch Master Flex is back. What's up, dude?
What's up, Snug? How you feel?
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling thankful. It's Thanksgiving season, and I'm thankful for another day that we can acknowledge our tribal chief Solo as our tribal chief. I love you, Solo.
I'm gonna put that away.
So we're gonna go over 1989 Survivor Series, and I'm curious, why did you pick this specific pay-per-view out of all of them?
First and foremost, this is the pay-per-view I probably remember most besides the Royal Rumbles when I was a kid because of the fact of how many stars are in it. Survivor Series should always be the stars, everybody shows up for Survivor Series. It's in our hometown, Chicago, Rosemont Horizon, been there for many events from all the way from Disney on Ice to wrestling, tons of stuff. One of my big things about it is the intro to the show. It's a whole bunch of guys just talking smack about the other teams and telling what they're thankful for. And I think we need more of that. You know what I'm saying? We need more of that. But it's just a childhood memory, holds at heart, something when you were a kid, your dad took you to the video store and he didn't care what VHS is, but I'm pretty sure I re-rented that thing constantly. So it was one of those things that just holds tear to heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Benoit Rules, Hall of Fame.
Hashtag Benoit Rules. The guy that should not be mentioned. Nah, it's good, dude. I mean, we can still.
Nah, that'd be the one.
Yeah, we remember the good matches that Chris Benoit had, but Chris Benoit was not in this 1989 Survivor Series, at least not the last time that I checked. But
No.
we were at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, your hometown. So I'm like, okay, that's got to be one of the reasons why. And when was the last time you watched this pay-per-view, Finch?
I watch it around every Thanksgiving. It was happy that you asked me to do that, so it was one of those things. I show my daughter these because they always ask what kind of wrestlers I watch during the day, and these are tons of gimmicks from barbers to kings, all this. So they get a real kick out of it. But this one, always rewatch around Thanksgiving. It's one of those things. You watch the Rumbles around January. I watch this one on Thanksgiving.
So for this Survivor Series, it literally gives like what we saw in this pay-per-view. It's literally the definition of who is going to survive because we had 5 8-man tag team matches for this pay-per-view, and they were all elimination tag team matches. So whoever is the last man standing, that's who gets the victory for their team. And like you said, we saw a shit ton of stars. They were all involved in, one way, shape, or form. But me, when I watched this years later, shit, I wasn't even born when this went down. So I have no idea how these teams got put together or the build to this. Do you have any recollection of that, Finch, as to how some of these teams got put together?
Yes. A lot of these are put together by rivalries or tag team rivalries at the moment. There is some few throw in there just for filler. A Red Rooster. I mean, I don't think he ever had any involvement in any feud or story at that moment. So he was just a filler. Then there's like little simple feuds that you would have to know at the time, I guess. Filler feuds that you see in the middle of the show. But there is most apart reasoning for the teams. You know what I mean? You'll see why even in that intro, who hates who, who's going after who, why are they there? It's cool.
Yeah, and also the commentary helped a lot trying to understand what's going on here. That's one of the reasons why the commentary is so good in these older shows, because they do a good job of explaining what you're watching. So let me just go down the list here to the 5 matches that we're going to go over and the names of the teams. And just the names of the teams will kind of give you an idea of who's involved here. So the first match is the Enforcers versus the Dream Team. The second match is the 4x4s versus the King's Court. The third match is the Hulkamaniacs. Wonder who's in that team. Versus the $1 Million Team. I wonder who's in that one. The fourth match, the Rude Brood versus Roddy's Rowdies. And the main event, the final tag team match of the night, is the Ultimate Warriors versus the Heenan family. So those are the teams that faced off in this 1989 Survivor Series. So I'm ready, Finch.
Let's roll.
All right, let's get into the first match. Then we had the Enforcers versus the Dream Team. I'm gonna name off the list of wrestlers that were part of the Enforcers team, and then I'm gonna let you name off the Dream Team. So first, we had for the Enforcers, the Boss Man, the Big Boss Man, rest in peace, Bad News Brown, Rick Martel, and the Honky Tonk Man on the side of the heels here.
It's very cut and dry. Good guy team versus bad guy team. And then you got the Dream Team, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes with his yellow polka dots, and the Brutus Barber Beefcake. And then you got the Red Rooster and the great Tito Santana.
That's right. So let's do a quick rundown of what I saw in this match, and then I want to hear your thoughts and what you remember from this first match, Finch. So right off the bat, we have some storytelling in this match that I noticed, and I learned this from the last review that I did from the 1992 Royal Rumble. People were asking me about the Strike Force. And I'm like, the Strike Force, who the fuck is it? Well, Tito Santana and Rick Martel were the attack team. They called themselves the Strike Force, but in this match, in this opening match, they found themselves on the opposite teams. Rick Martel was a heel, and these two guys started off the match. So, the people in the arena kind of knew what was going on. There was some tension between these two guys. So this match started off hot, and then you got Polka Dot Dusty Rhodes, man, who was over in this match. Yeah, as soon as Dusty got tagged in, the place exploded. Bad News Brown, he took a while to tag into this match, and I think that was for a reason because Bad News Brown was actually, I believe he was the first one to get eliminated here because he accidentally got hit by one of his partners. He did not like that and just walked off the match. He just said,
Yeah.
"Fuck this, screw you guys, I'm going home."
Peace.
Yeah. So he counted himself out. And that's one of the things that I noticed about this pay-per-view is like there was a lot of things that you have to pay attention to in the details, a lot of countouts. A lot of the rules are being applied here, disqualifications. You can't do this, you can't do that. You can't just run in without tagging. Like it's like the little things like that that really make a big difference. But Rick Martel, he got the first elimination. He eliminated his former partner, Tito Santana. Mike Chioda, a very, very young Mike Chioda, was a referee in this match, which I thought was really fucking cool to see.
I noted that too.
Mhm.
I noted that too. Like, it's funny to see young Mike Chioda like that.
There was another really young referee in some of the matches during this pay-per-view who
Good
was
boy.
it? Who
Shane
was it?
McMahon.
Shane O'Mac.
Shane O'Mac. I was like, I thought you were gonna say. I was quizzing you. I was waiting for you. I wrote it down. I was waiting for you.
Yeah.
I was like, you're the one
I
that
had
weren't born.
Yeah, I had to go back. I took a second take. I was like, "Wait a minute. I think I know this fucking Yeah, that's
Oh
Shane."
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
You go back and
s
watch a lot of those things. You just see him in the background during feuds and all that stuff. It's really wild.
it's crazy, man. Yeah, it's
Mm.
crazy to see. Uh, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, man. This guy was actually a really big deal. He got the next 2 eliminations in this match. Um, then we move on to Honky Tonk Man, and Rick Martel. They were both in the ring. Basically leaving the big boss man by himself, which of course the babyface ended up getting the win for this first match. Dusty Rhodes got the pin on the boss man. And man, first of all, my first question is Polka Dot Dusty Rhodes, man. How big of a deal was he during this time?
So here's the thing. So I'm gonna do this confession. So when I was that age and I started realizing I didn't know what NWA was at the time. I only knew WWE and WCW. So when I heard who Dusty was, I've heard of him, but when he came in, he just made a cool impact. Of course, he had his yellow polka dots, baby, and he just doing his thing out there, dancing and moving. But like this match made me a huge Dusty fan because of what Big Boss Man did to him afterwards. Because the build up to that was Big Boss Man interrupting Dusty and Dusty doing his thing, and he didn't like that, trying to lay the law. So that was the story about that. But this match made me a bigger Dusty fan because of what he did. Like
Mhm.
Dusty afterwards and whatnot. So I think it was a good sell.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's a good starter match. I think it's okay. Like I said, this one is like I feel like a little more tossed together. It has a few feuds in it. Red Rooster and Bad News Brown were kind of just fill-ins, and you can see by I believe Big Boss Man becomes a babyface soon because of Bad News Brown. I'm 100% sure of that. I think that's what starts the Big Boss Man being a good guy is because of Bad News Brown. So I think that's a seed in the ground kind of method, But yeah, this is a really good opening match for it.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, most of these matches, they all had some shit go down after the match. Like someone gets attacked or something happens after the match where it made me think like, okay, this Survivor Series is being used to continue on a feud or to begin a new feud because in this opening match, we saw the big boss man attack Dusty Rhodes and handcuff him to the ropes and just continue the attack on a defenseless Dusty Rhodes, basically, which got a lot of heat. The people were booing because, man, the people in that arena in Chicago, man, they love their Dusty, man.
The big thing about this, no internet. So you have to sell that story in the ring, no matter what. You have to be that fan to watch the superstars, the Saturday night main events. They didn't have Raw. They didn't have Nitro. You know what I mean? So you had to tune in for these stuff to make sure you got the story. You know, so Survivor Series, that was nothing but storytelling in almost every match. Every person doing something in there, like you could tell these guys knew the game plan. So I think that's the big part of it. There was no internet. So when you went to these shows, you are watching TV. You know what I mean? You're watching the stuff you only read in magazines. You know, you only got to see this once a month on TV, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I think that's the big part of how exciting these matches were at that time, you know?
Yes, for sure. Well, that was the opening match. Let's move on to the second match. We had the King's Court versus the 4x4s. And the people that we have on the team of the heels, which is the King's Court, was Randy Savage, which I thought was really weird seeing him as a heel during this time. And he actually went by the Macho King during this time. We had Greg the Hammer Valentine that looks like the cafeteria lady from my elementary school. We had Earthquake, and Dino Bravo as a part of the King Court. And who do we have on the other side, Mr. Finch?
On the 4x4s, we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Bret, not the Hitman Hart yet, just Bret Hart.
The Master of Executioners or Master,
yeah,
or something
that's
like
what.
that.
But yeah, they didn't give it to him yet. Another Ronnie Garvin and Hercules.
That's right. So for this match, the heels, which is the King Court, they got the advantage. They got the first elimination on Hercules. Then the lunch lady got the second elimination. So we have a 3-on-3. The Macho King and Bret Hart, when these two get tagged into the ring, they have a mini standoff. They get a standing ovation from the crowd, and the commentators sell this. They sell this moment so well. Oh, what about this matchup right here? Like the crowd knew even then that Bret Hart and Macho Man in the same ring, it's like a dream match waiting to happen. So that was a really cool moment to see. The heels then take the lead again as Ronnie Garvin eliminated. He got eliminated. Ronnie Garvin did. So now we have Bret Hart and Jim Duggan left. Two baby faces are outnumbered, and this is a bad situation for them because it's a 2-on-3. The baby faces started cheating a little bit. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Bret Hart ties up the Macho King in the ropes, and they start going to work on Macho King, tagging in and out and just beating him up while he's stranded there on the ropes. The referee, he let it happen basically, which I thought was really weird. Especially seeing Jim Duggan, who was like all about America and the USA, kind of doing a little bit of cheating, but the heels, they still get the upper hand. The Macho King eliminates Bret Hart, and we get a 3-on-1 situation. And this is the part where I was kind of confused. That did not really make sense to me. The heels, they have Jim Duggan outnumbered 3-on-1. The heels won this match, but neither of the heels got the pin on Jim Duggan. Basically, technically, Sensational Sherry, who was at ringside, ended up winning this match for them. She pulled down the ropes while Jim Duggan was hitting the ropes. Jim Duggan flies out of the top rope, and he gets counted out. So of all people, Sensational Sherry got the win for this match for the heels.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of side notes here. I wrote some notes about this match just because it's an impactful match. I really do think so. So this is where we have heel Macho Man with no Miss Elizabeth, but with Sensational Sherry, which heel Macho Man is excellent. That's something everybody should study. And then this is the growth of Bret Hart. This is when, as a kid, I became a Bret Hart fan, was this day. And he's my number 3 on my list. Like, he's my top 3. I have 11 figures of his. And Macho Man knew it, I think. I think Macho Man, that smart, was like, I'm going to give this kid this moment. He knows he's huge. He's and look what he did. You know what I mean? You could tell the crowd knew it too. Crowd was behind Brett. You know, I think Brett and Macho is the only thing that really show in this match, in my opinion. Like everybody else was a little bit of fillers, you know. Side note is that Earthquake was a replacement for the Widowmaker, which was Barry Windham. So he was a replacement that month or whatever, but they were building up Barry Windham as something, and Earthquake just got a more evil push. You know what I mean?
I feel like we saw that a couple times in another match, I think with Bobby Heenan too, but we'll get into that later on.
But yeah, I think this match was trying to save everybody's credibility. You know, like Hacksaw was kind of getting a little push there, so he didn't get pinned. He got counted out. Macho Man was Macho Man, so of course you can't touch him, so he ain't gonna get pinned. Bret Hart got pinned, but he got his butt whooped. Like they showed that he was kicking ass, and then he got pinned. So I liked how they did that. Like, you know, like it took that guy a while to get pinned. And then Earthquake and Dino were getting that big heel push at the moment, you know. So I think that's why they didn't want to get them pinned either. You know, it would have really kind of shot that down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the easy way was to get the count out, and then it kind of saves everybody. You get rid of the other people, Hercules, you know, the lunch lady, you know, people like that. You know, it's like you get what I'm saying? No, I think it just saved everybody credibility at the time.
Okay.
You know, that's why easy count out. You didn't get pinned. You didn't lose. You got counted out because you chased the bad guy's girlfriend. But yeah.
So I was wondering, why was he the Macho King at this time? And do you remember like how that came about and why how did he become the heel during that time?
This is when the Hulkamaniac or the Mega Powers broke up. You know, Hogan was supposedly with Elizabeth, which it wasn't. Macho Man got all mad about it. You know, he loses the title, the Hogan King of the Ring. I think it's a mini King of the Ring. But Macho Man wins it, becomes Macho King, and then Sherry, the evil manager, Ballet, is his new Ballet. This is all going towards WrestleMania 4, where our Ultimate Warrior retires Macho Man and Sensational Sherry beats his ass in the ring, and Miss Elizabeth comes from the crowd. You know, this is all going to that. So that's like, you get what I'm saying? So you got to think that story is longer pace, like the Bloodline at this moment. You know, like those stories lasted 2 years, just you know, back in that time. But yeah, that's how it went down. There you go.
Well, before the third match started, we got to see a certain bad gimmick cut a promo. Well, really, it was a poem. Finch Master, what do you remember about the Genius?
The Genius, the wonderful Genius. I hated him. God, I hated that dude with a passion. I hated even the way he wrestled. I would have felt uncomfortable wrestling that guy. Like, I don't know what it is. And come to find out, he's Macho Man's brother. It's like, you wonder where all the talent went. You know what I mean? It's like, and you could tell later on, Poffo lived off his brother's coattails. I'm not a Poffo fan. I never liked him. I met him one time, and he was kind of a tool. Rest in peace to both of them. Rest in peace. You know, I no disrespect there, but nah.
What happened when you met Lenny Poffo?
No, it's just he's that guy. You know, like when you're on a table, and it goes back to the Virgil thing. You got one picture of yourself, but the rest of the pictures are with wrestlers or your brother. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you got the one picture that's got a stack like this, but the ones with your brother is like all the way down here, obviously. You know what I mean? So it's like you live off your brother's coattails. Josh Glenn says heel Macho Man was awesome. You should check that out. You think you would enjoy a lot of heel Macho Man at that time.
Yeah, dude, I was liking it, man. I was feeling it when I was seeing him. It was weird to me seeing him as a heel because you know, I was born in 1991, so like the tapes that I saw, it was mostly him being the good guy, being the hero, you know. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I recently learned more about the Genius recently too. Because at first I was like, oh man, this guy, what a goofy gimmick. This is so bad. The graduation outfit and the cap.
Yeah.
And then later on, I found out, oh, it's Lenny Poffo. I was like, holy shit. Okay, that was crazy. So we saw him here again in the 1989 Survivor Series. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Let's move on to match number 3. This was probably one of my favorite matches because of how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
We had the $1 Million Team, the heels, Ted DiBiase, the Barbarian, Warlord, and Zeus. And who do we have on the other side?
Sorry, I actually scrolled up. On the Hulkamaniacs, we have Hulk Hogan and the WWE Champions Demolition and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, so this match also started off hot. The heels were already in the ring, and the baby faces, when they were trying to make their entrances, the heels were not letting them get inside of the ring. It wasn't until Jake the Snake pulled out his 20-foot python, Damien, and slid that thing in the ring, and that's when the heels cleared the ring, and the baby faces were able to get inside the ring finally. But I
You
thought
gotta
that was
love that, though. You gotta love that. Like, that's just cheesy, but it works. It gets you feels. You know what I mean? It gets you in
dude.
that feels, right? You're like, yes, get in there. You know?
Oh man, I know if I was a heels, I would have gone
I
straight
hate
out of the.
snakes, dude.
I would have
ran.
gotten out of the arena, dude.
There would have been a puddle behind me.
Nah, dude, I'm out of that
I
bitch,
hate
dude.
snakes, dude. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
So I can relate to that. That's why I thought it was it got a big pop for me because I was like, oh hell no, y'all better get out of that fucking ring. Yeah, so then the match started with Zeus and Hogan, and Hogan was hitting Zeus with everything that he had, the punches. I think he tried doing a high kick, hit him with the slam. Zeus wasn't selling anything that Hogan was throwing at him. And this is Hulk Hogan. And then Zeus starts to heat on Hogan. And he does this thing where if this was done like in a movie, this is like, this is how you off someone. Zeus snaps the neck of Hogan, quote unquote. And Hogan passes out. And Zeus continues the attack, and this is when the referee got really involved in this match a few times, not just one. And I thought it was really great because Jesse Ventura, man, he was laying it in on the referees, saying that they're just helping Hulk Hogan, that the referees are cheating, that they're biased because Hulk Hogan is our hero, and saying all kinds of great things. But Zeus was choking the shit out of Hogan. The referee climbs on top of Zeus. That doesn't help. This happened a couple times until the referee decides, you know what? You're out of here, Zeus. Zeus is the first to get eliminated by disqualification for breaking the choke on Hogan. And yeah, that was the start of that match. How did you feel so far now that we're seeing this?
Well, this is all for that movie. You know what I mean? But when you're a kid, this is like, no, not Hogan. Don't do it. Do it to Axe or Smash. No, as a kid, you're eating it up. I wasn't the big Hulkamania fan, but this match, once again, it tells a story. It tells you everything that's happening, with some fillers. Josh Glenn says, how is Demolition not in the Hall of Fame? I agree with you. That is sadly not even cool. But this match was once again, I think you're right though. The referee was everywhere in this match. The referee was like, he got paid that day. That dude made his money. Yeah, Hebner.
Was it Earl Hebner or was it the other guy? I can't even tell them apart.
No, whatever. Their kid looks the same too.
Yeah, one of the Hebners. So then we go down the match, and then it ends up being Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake versus 3 heels. But then Earl Hebner again gets involved in this match and disqualifies both of the members of the Powers of Pain for hitting Hulk Hogan with an illegal double team pile driver move. And this is like when this was a time where, again, rules were enforced. The referees called it down the middle. There was no funny business going down in the ring. So now we have Jake the Snake and Hogan versus who was the last one? Ted DiBiase was the last member of his team to get eliminated. And Ted DiBiase ends up getting a pin on Jake the Snake. He got his foot on the rope. Typical heel move. Then we get Ted DiBiase versus Hulk Hogan. And of course, the crowd is going wild, but it's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan has his big leg drop on Ted DiBiase, and the Hulkamaniacs win this one.
You know what I love about this? It's funny that they started as the main event, but it's the third match on the card.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, even if you go and read on it, it says the main event, the Hulkamaniacs versus the $1 Million Team. I'm like, well, no, there's two matches after that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was going to be one of my questions. Is the Ultimate Warrior, was he really that much over during that time? That's why he went last?
Oh,
I would also assume.
This is the growth of Ultimate Warrior. This right here is Ultimate Warrior coming the Ultimate Warrior. The IC Warrior is... People hate on Ultimate Warrior, but when you lived as a kid at that time, being 5 years old, and you watch your older brother represent Hulk Hogan, and then Ultimate Warrior shows up, badass as hell, runs to the ring and just dumb out. So you're like, yeah, I'm an Ultimate Warrior fan. I have tons of Warrior figures. I don't care what anybody says. He's one of my favorite childhood memories. IC Warrior is still one of the best looking Warriors ever. Like, I mean, look at him. My daughters think he's so cool. Like, my daughters go nuts for Warrior. But yeah, the Warrior, this is the growth of Warrior. And yeah, you'll be third, but we'll tell him it's the main event, Hogan, to make you feel better. That's how I looked at that. You get what? Even as a kid, I knew that was just Hogan. Like, you're gonna at least tell him I'm the main event, right? You know what I mean?
I'll go third, but you got to put.
But if you notice, Chicago crowd was like, "Cool, next match." Like, they're into it. Like, come on, give me the next one. Mm-hmm. That's how they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun match, though. Fun match.
It was what. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Yeah, it was one of my favorite matches. But I have to say, we'll get into the main event. The main event was my favorite one, but it wasn't because of the Ultimate Warrior. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's go on to the fourth match: the Rude Crude versus Rowdies. And the Rude Crude was Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, and the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And who did we have over on the other side, Mr. Finch?
This is my favorite match. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, this cracked me up. But the Rowdies were Rowdy Piper, Jimmy Snuka, and the Bushwhackers, Butch and Luke.
All right.
Before you start, there is they do the little promos before the matches. Tell me you got a kick of the Rowdies promo when he's walking down the stairs and Orkelin sitting there. And here comes the Bushwhackers and Snuka, and they have this really dry-ass chick turkey. And they're hoo, and they're fighting over the turkey, and Rowdy's like, there's no eating until after the match. Oh, my God, dude. I laugh every fucking time I see that. I did
see that, and it reminded me of, like, a football team, like, before they hit the field, when they get hyped up, they're like, yeah, come on, yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
Them bones. And he's like, hoo, like Snuka's going nuts. Oh, dude, I do that shit all the time. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you already know whenever the Bushwhackers are involved in something, it's going to be some type of crazy. And it was, because there was a lot of biting in the beginning of this match. They were letting, who was it? Who started off this match? I think it was
a Rougeau, wasn't it? Wasn't it a Rougeau?
I think it was Jack Rougeau, I think, was the one that kept getting bit by all the members of the of the Rowdies. Jack Rougeau, that's the Mountie, right?
Yeah, Jack Rougeau is the Mountie. Raymond ended up becoming a commentator for the French for many years for WWE.
For the French announce tables.
Yeah, if you go
Nice.
back and watch some of those early 2000s, he's the French guy at the table there. Raymond.
Nice. So that's how the match started, and we got to see Snuka hit his famous splash from the top rope, and that's how he got the first elimination on Jack Rougeau. Piper gets the second pin after hitting a pile driver. So we have a 4-on-2 situation. Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude, they were left alone. Yeah, they cleaned house, man. They got the next two
cleaned
pins.
house, dude.
They eliminated both of the Bushwhackers shortly after that. So now it's even again. We get a regular tag team match, 2-on-2. And what about these two teams, man? Just the tag team match on paper with these names. We have Snuka, we have Piper on one side versus Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect. Fucking crazy.
You imagine how lucky that Chicago crowd is to see all those stars that night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at all those names are nothing but Hall of Famers. Like, it's ridiculous. The crowd. I think that's one of the reasons why I picked it too. I was like, look at all these stars that one night happened. All these Hall of Famers and icons in one night in Chicago on Thanksgiving. But yeah, this is huge. You got, Rowdy and Rick Rude are feuding at the time because, Rick Rude's a great heel and Rowdy thinks he's all full of it, So it's some good stuff before that. And then you got Snook and Perfect, they kind of had their thing going on, But this is, you get to see this as a tag match. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, I completely lost my train of thought. I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. Anyway, it's all good. Oh, there we go. I remembered. Yeah, this Survivor Series was like, I felt like it was a way to just get as many stars on the card as possible. So they're like, you know what? Let's just have 5 8-man tag team match and just hit them with everything that we got, man. Like, it was a star-studded list, this thing.
I think they were trying to fight Starrcade. I think Starrcade was happening that weekend or that Thanksgiving, but I think they were trying to outsell him. Vince McMahon's always got to, it's just, I think Starrcade was happening every Thanksgiving, and I think that's who they wanted to go against. And of course, they even had Josh Glenn. Rick Rude is definitely an underrated heel. Yeah, definitely. The dude's awesome on the mic. Never got the credit he deserved. But yeah, okay. I enjoyed this match just because of the nostalgia in it. Like, if you really know this match, and like, it's just fun, in my opinion. I think it's hilarious. But this is where it got serious.
Yeah. And it was an enjoyable match. When it broke down to the 2-on-2, a regular tag team match, Piper and Rude, they completely forgot about the match because they just started fighting outside of the ring, and they fought off the arena, and they got counted out. So now we get a one-on-one situation. We're left with Mr. Perfect and Snuka. Mr. Perfect, at this time, he was the only WWF superstar with the perfect record, and that perfect record continued. He hit his perfect plex on the Superfly Snuka to get the victory for his team. The Rude Crude won. But man, this was a hell of a match. One of the best ones of the night for sure.
Yeah, this is all foreshadowing too for future events too, of even Bret Hart. Like, how can you say it? Perfect's gonna end up winning the title, the IC title, and then Rowdy's gonna take him off, and then Bret's gonna pin Rowdy, which Rowdy hasn't been pinned in forever at this moment, and that's why he didn't get pinned at Survivor Series that night. That's why they fought all the way to the back. I think Rude was at momentum too. I'm not having like anybody pin him for a while besides the Ultimate Warrior, so I think that's why they're keeping his credibility up. But like I said, this is another match that is foreshadowing something else that happened, and on like Bret Hart getting that praise by Macho Man. That means, okay, we're going to invest in this guy, and Perfect and Rowdy are going to have a feud right after this that goes into the IC thing after Warrior loses. It like I said, this is one of those shows that are really going to start the stories ahead of time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on to the main event. Well, actually, technically not the main event, but really it was.
It really was.
The Ultimate Warriors versus the Heenan family. And just really quick, we had a comment here earlier. Someone made a comment about the match already. Shout out to Motor City Machine. To be honest, Warrior was cool, but was gassed by the time the match started.
100%. 100%. And I mean,
Well,
like when you're 5, you didn't understand it, but later on, you're like, yeah.
yeah. So the Ultimate Warriors, that team right there consisted of the Ultimate Warrior, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty versus
The Heenan family with manager Bobby Heenan in the corner, the colossal connection of Andre the Giant and Haku, a.k.a. Ming. And then you got the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Except Tully Blanchard wasn't in it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Who was it replaced by?
Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan. Yeah.
Why? What happened there? Because when Bobby Heenan first he came out to the ring, he was wearing his ring gear, and Jesse Ventura was like, "Bobby Heenan's wearing his wrestling gear. Is Bobby Heenan gonna fight?" And he did.
Tully failed a drug test.
Okay.
That's what it was. I have it. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I have it somewhere because I looked it up too. He was replaced by Bobby Heenan at first. So yeah, because he failed the drug test that weekend before.
And actually, I'm really glad that it went down like that because Bobby Heenan was the reason why this match was my favorite. Bobby Heenan was so fucking good in this match as a heel. He like he refused to tag in. He would only tag in when it was convenient for him when the opponent was down. At one point he tagged in and then the babyface fought back, punched him one time, and he tagged out like right away, which I thought was great. Arn Anderson and Haku were doing most of the work.
Yeah.
And then Heenan would just come in and swoop the pins. It was great, man. I love Bobby Heenan. This it was so entertaining, but even the beginning of the match was really entertaining because the way that they did the entrances, the timing of this had to be perfect in order for them to get this right because it was a jump start for this match. Everyone started fighting outside of the ring before the bell rang, before the match officially started. The Ultimate Warrior comes out, and right when the Ultimate Warrior runs to the ring, Andre the Giant is the only one in the ring. So we have Ultimate Warrior and Andre the Giant in the ring. So right away, the bell rings. All right, we have one guy from each team in the ring. Bell rings, the match officially starts. Ultimate Warrior, I believe he clotheslines Andre out of the ring. And Andre, he couldn't get his big ass back up.
Yeah.
So Andre got counted out right away, but they happened so fast and they timed this so well. So is there a reason why you think, besides adding excitement to the match, is there any other reason why Andre the Giant got eliminated in this way so fast into this match?
Sadly, it's pain. The dude was in pain at the time. I love Andre. He's my favorite big man of all time. Sadly, when you read all this stuff and you hear later on how much he was in pain, it was more of a make Andre look good, but not get pinned because he just got pinned by Hogan not too long ago there. So it's just one of those sad moments where, when as a kid, you're like, oh my God, Andre's out. That's crazy. What they going to do without him, but then later on you find out like, oh, they had to get him out of there just so he didn't have to be in pain anymore, give him his minutes and then let him go. So that's what it was, sadly, And plus it made Ultimate Warrior look powerful, and Andre's a professional, so it's going to make he'll do the job. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure. So technically, this match started off with the babyface having the advantage. It's a 4-on-3, but you have Bobby Heenan on the other team, so technically it's like a 4-on-2.
Yeah.
And they build this match so well. Bobby Heenan gets a lot of heat throughout this match, and it makes you want to see Bobby Heenan get his. You want to see them get their hands on Bobby Heenan as much as Bobby Heenan was trying to avoid it. And the way that this all goes down is Bobby Heenan ends up being the last one, and he is left alone with the Ultimate Warrior of all people. The weakest heel, the most chicken shit heel, Bobby Heenan is left with the strongest, the baddest, the most popular babyface on the other team, the Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior got his hands on Bobby Heenan. Big pop, place explodes. Warrior splash on Bobby Heenan, and the Ultimate Warriors get the win for this main event match. But man, this was my favorite match of the night, I gotta say.
It's entertaining. It was so much fun. My favorite thing about it, at the moment, this is where Undertaker, I keep saying Ultimate Warrior just beat Rick Rude for the IC title. So his first feud was Andre, and a few pay-per-views or shows before that, they had a Weasel and a Weasel match. It was Bobby, the Brain Heenan, and Ultimate Warrior, where whoever would win or whatever. But it wasn't Bobby, but if Ultimate Warrior would win, they get to put him in a Weasel suit. So he knocks out Bobby Heenan, and then he dresses him in a Weasel suit, and then leaves him in the ring. And Bobby Heenan wakes up, and he just sells it. He's like, "What the?" Doing the Heenan, and it's so funny, Edgar. I can send you that clip. You'll laugh so hard at that one.
Yeah, please do.
Heenan is so good. Heenan is such a professional dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And back to that, the Heenan family. People talk about stables. People need to go back and look up the Heenan family. If you go back and look at the Heenan family from Paul Orndorff, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, the Rougeau brothers, Andre the Giant, Haku, One Man Gang at one time, King Kong Bundy. The Heenan family is one stable that nobody ever talks about, major stables. Go look up the Heenan family. Look at all the people he was walking out with. Do that show and many of the other shows. When Ric Flair came in, who joined the Heenan family right away? Ric Flair. So it's people don't ever talk about the Heenan family. They need to.
Yeah. I mean, I hear a lot of stories about, Bobby Heenan, how great he was and how great he is. And every time I watch him, when I go back and watch old clips like this, I can understand why people say that. He really was great. But you're right. They don't really talk about the Heenan family a whole lot. I wonder why that is. That's kind of weird.
It was awesome. It was so awesome. He was walking out with Greg the Hammer Valentine. He walked out. I mean, it's just the Heenan family. Everybody always what's your favorite stable? And I was like, I'll always say DX or NWO. I was like, Heenan family, old school stable. You need to look that one up.
Very.
Brainbusters. Even Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson was part of it. That was awesome.
Yeah. Very, very underrated. Yeah, man. Maybe we can do a show about that somehow. Talk about the Heenan family more.
I'm gonna pick another old school pay-per-view, and you're gonna watch it again. We're gonna go through another one.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm down for that. I'm trying to do. I got people telling me, man, to talk more old school wrestling. So I'm like, all right. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it out for the month of November. Call it November Nostalgia. But I think I'm gonna just keep doing it and just fuck it, just go, see how far I can take it.
What did you really think of the show, though?
I thought it was way too many 8-man tag tag matches, it got kind of it's a gimmick match, so I don't really like shows like that. Like, for example, when they do Hell in a Cell, where they have multiple Hell in a Cell matches, or when they have Elimination Chamber, they have multiple elimination, if they just kept it at maybe Mm-hmm.
No, if you watch like the next few, you notice that they go with your idea. You'll see a singles match, a tag match only, My favorite
Yeah.
part, I wish they would have done, I think they did it for 2 years before or after or both, was like the remaining surviving members would fight at the end. Like the
Mm.
good guys, whoever were the remaining good guys would go against the remaining bad guys. I thought that was like such a cool idea to do. You know what I mean? I was just like, I wish
And
they
how
did that.
and how did that turn into like them doing the war games?
That's
Well,
because
mhm.
WCW held war games during November too, I believe. And I think just putting it together was just a smart idea. But I wish
Mm.
they did a 4-on-4 tag match, just retro style, one time. Like, just throw it in there. I know it's in war games now, but like, throw like a few feuds together in a match. Have the 4-on-4. They did it with DX, CM Punk, Kofi, and somebody else against another feud of people that they were all feuding with, not like a little while back. And I thought that was excellent. I thought that was really cool. Orton's never lost a Survivor Series match. Randy
Orton?
Orton. Orton's like, yeah, he's been a sole survivor, I think, every time. Even
Oh
like I
shit.
think War Games he won even. So it's like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, other than that, dude, I thought the pay-per-view was really dope because even though it was 5 8-man elimination matches, each one they were all different somehow. They had different finishes, they had different spots, different they all had they weren't just the same. They were all different matches. They kept it fresh. I liked how, the referees were really enforcing the rules here. People were getting counted out, which we never see nowadays. We don't ever see anyone get counted out anymore. People were getting disqualified, so they kept it moving, they kept it entertaining, even though it was like 5 of the same matches technically. So I'll give them that. They had that going for them for sure.
Josh Glenn, you are correct. War Games was a Dusty Rhodes creation, but once they bought everything, WWE left. Well,
Mhm.
Triple H brought it to NXT. Then it just got so popular that, of course, they had to put it on Survivor Series.
So since it is Survivor Series, since it is Survivor Series season, that's a tongue twister right there. And it's Thanksgiving season. Let's do a couple predictions for this year's Survivor Series. I mean, you just said Randy Orton. We believe he's undefeated at Survivor Series. Do you think he's gonna have a match at Survivor Series this year?
Yeah, probably. They gotta have the fillers, right? Him and KO are probably gonna have another one, or is that no? No. I don't know. Maybe not. That's funny. I'm gonna look into that, or
Yeah,
looking to see that.
yeah.
We don't.
Well,
They didn't announce much, have they? Just besides the bloodline.
correct. Yeah. The Bloodline, and then Gunther versus Damian Priest so far.
Mm.
So who you got there?
I got Gunther going to Mania. I
Yeah,
got
for
Gunther
sure.
going all the way to Mania. I love Priest and all, and I like how they kind of gave him a little bit of a credibility with the whole scare tactic. But like, if they took the title off Gunther already, I'd be kind of disappointed as like why'd you do that? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, why'd you do that? You didn't need to do that. You know?
yeah, definitely.
Did you see that big return on SmackDown?
Oh, good old Shin.
Yeah.
Our boy Shin. Yeah, dude, I saw that. What'd you think about that?
I loved it. I love Shinsuke. I like him so much because he makes my mom annoyed. My mom gets so mad when he's on TV, like, oh, I hate this guy. And I'm like, I love Shinsuke.
She's about to get more mad because it looks like he came back looking more evil.
Oh yeah, and she loves Knight. So I sent her that clip this morning and she was like, oh, great. She's gonna beat my guy.
I hope
Josh
so,
Glenn,
man.
Josh
Mhm.
Glenn, I think KO and Cody have a set for a title match on Saturday Night Main Event when it comes back. Oh,
Oh, that's right.
is
That's
that this
right.
month?
It's in December.
It is in
I
December.
think
Okay.
it's like the middle of December, I think. I want to say December 14th or something like that. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Um, And for the War Games, the Bloodline 2.0 versus the OG Bloodline. I think it's safe to say Seth Rollins is going to be the 5th member, right?
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm just joking. No, I think so. I think who else would you put there at the moment, you know?
Brock Lesnar.
I would love Brock to be there. Heyman shows up with Brock, right? That's got to be the guy.
That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was
I think we
hoping
mentioned it last video. I was like, come on, man. But I hope Seth Rollins is just a tease to get us off track.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like,
I thought that was the first thing I thought of when Roman tried to call Paul Heyman and the phone was disconnected. And I was like, why wouldn't Paul Heyman tell Roman Reigns that? But then later on, someone sent me a video of it was because Solo Sikoa had broke Paul Heyman's phone a few weeks ago. I don't know if you remember that.
mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, maybe Paul Heyman, you know, me and my conspiracies, maybe Paul Heyman is bringing back Brock Lesnar and he didn't want to tell Roman, but it was like, nah, Solo just broke his phone. It ain't Brock. And I'm like, damn it. All right.
Josh Glenn says Paul comes back with Punk.
Or Punk, yeah.
Yeah.
Punk.
See, and he said December 14th is Saturday Night Main Events.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be ready for that.
So who you gonna be live for that?
I am.
Okay.
I am. We're gonna watch that for sure. I gotta double check, make sure I got the channel first, and then we can start planning. But yeah, dude. So, bloodline warfare, whatever they're calling it. Who do you got?
I think Roman wins.
Roman, okay.
Yeah, I was really thinking the Solo's gonna win. Like, who's gonna be their 5th?
It's Bronson Reed.
Oh, Bronson Reed. That's right. And that'd be cool because if Brock came back, it would be cool to like
good matchup.
Big boys go at it. Yeah, you know, Reed and Lesnar be excellent together. That'd be
big
really
men
good
slapping the meat.
If I can't get Gunther and Brock, I'll take Brock and Reed. That'd be really good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was a nice little trip down memory lane, Finch. We got ourselves hyped up for Survivor Series. Nah, man, thank you. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to plug before we get up out of here?
Wrestling fans, go back and watch some old school wrestling. It makes you feel good about where you are today sometimes. You should appreciate what these guys do and what the history it made. I got a guy that won't watch anything before 95 and he's 40-something years old, and I just think that's criminal.
That should be illegal.
It really should be. It's like you really don't know anything, the history of what everything is then. So I tell every young wrestling fan, my daughters watch WCW Nitro because they enjoy the old school stories sometimes.
Why would you torture them like that? No, I'm just kidding.
No, well, we watch it together. Like my daughter be like, hey, do you want to watch a Nitro episode? Because, you know, they kind of like skim through it pretty fast. So you can watch an episode in like an hour or so. It's just one of those moments. But I just, I hear you.
Which one are we gonna do next? Someday here down the line.
I'll find one. I think we're gonna do a Saturday Night Main Event. I'm gonna find which old school one I can do for you.
That would be perfect.
You want to do
for
that?
The hype
You want to
up.
do that?
Yeah, because the Saturday Night Main Event is coming back in December, so that would be a good little hype up show for that. You know?
Let me dig in that this weekend, and then I'll send it to you, and then we'll go from there. I'm down for that.
Sounds good, Finch. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I want to shout out to everybody that comes out and say hi to us every once in a while. I appreciate you all. Really well.
Right on, man. My name is Edgar. I'm the host of Snug Wrestling Podcast. That was a 1989 Survivor Series with Mr. Finch Master Flex. Thank you guys for listening and hanging out. And we will talk very, very soon. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, brother. Perfect timing.